I have not left my PJs all day. Ho, ho, ho! Welcome to Winging It with Frank and Sammy on a special Christmas edition. I know, Frank, you didn't expect that. How are you doing today, sir?
That caught me off guard. I'm doing all right. I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. It is cold up here. It's been in the mid 40s pretty much all day.
Oh my gosh, it's California cold.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But today, Frank and I are going to be talking about the Christmas bird count. It is Christmas bird count season. And if you've never heard of that, we're going to kind of explain that to you and all what that is all about. If you want to participate, we'll tell you how to do that. Frank is the lead for one of our counts down in Ventura. How are you feeling now the count is just around the corner?
I go through the same phases every year where it's like, okay, this is going to be great, and then we get closer, and it's like, I don't have enough people. Everybody's bailing. Like nobody can make it, and then it's like, oh no, there are no good birds staked out. Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to get our numbers? And then somehow in the end, it all kind of comes out, and it's a good time every time. So I'm in the stage of like panic right now, but
Mm.
it's uh it's expected. So I think we'll be okay. We did just get some good birds reported yesterday.
Yes, that is true. Hopefully they stick around. Hopefully they stay
Yeah.
for the count. I'm doing I think 5 counts this year. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm doing 4 up here and then I'm coming down for Venturas. But I've actually never been the compiler, which I think is the really stressful job. I know you've been how long have you been doing Ventura for?
At least 10 years at this point, I think.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that
Mm.
long.
Me neither. But I have all the files, and I was like, wow, I was doing this back in 2015. I don't remember that, but that's great. Yeah, it's been a while. It is, I want to say it's the hard part of doing a Christmas bird count, but it's the data intensive, it's the labor intensive.
Hmm.
It's why they give you a couple months after the count period to get it all pushed in and entered into the Audubon database. But mostly it's wrangling data from people like send me your reports, send me your sheets, share your eBird things, you know. That's the herding cats part of it that comes after the exciting part of counting the actual birds.
Yes, yes. So before we get too far, for those who don't know what a Christmas bird count is, let's explain what that is. We're just talking about this. People are like, what even data? What data are you collecting? So, Frank, give us a little history, a little background on the Christmas bird count and why we do this. What is it that we do?
Yeah, yeah. I like to say that like most good conservation movements, it has a horrific history. And this is accurate for this too. This used to be what was known as a Christmas side hunt,
Hmm.
and people would go out and shoot whatever they saw. And it's like this doesn't sound like something that would really happen, but apparently it did in the early 1900s and late 1800s. And those who had the biggest pile of dead things were declared winners. It's
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Maybe literally.
slightly different times nowadays. We don't do that. But a guy named Frank Chapman said, "Hey, what if instead of shooting everything, we just counted it?" Just like, imagine what a revolutionary idea that must have been at the
Hmm.
time. Like, what's up with this guy? He just wants to count things instead of shooting them. Like, I'm sure he took a bit of flack for that. So that kind of kickstarted this whole Christmas bird count instead of the Christmas side hunt. And this has been going on for,
Yeah, when was that? When was the
yeah,
first
I want to
official
say,
Christmas bird count?
I had it pulled up here. Actually, it was 1900. The
Okay,
first one was
145
on
years.
Christmas Day in 1900. So this is a long-standing conservation science, community science movement that's been going on. Like it's amazing that it still happens and that it's only growing every year. So yeah, that happened. The first one was Christmas Day. They had about 25 counts. They actually had a couple in California, which I was surprised to see that it was that
Hmm.
far spread. But it was pretty widespread. I think in total they got like 90 species, like across the country. So it was not like today, right, where
Right,
the Ventura Circle alone gets 175, like on an
right.
average year. So that's kind of the humble beginnings where we decided to stop killing things and start counting them, which always a pretty good idea as far as I'm concerned. Nowadays, it's an international effort. National Audubon is kind of pioneered this thing and run with it and grown it considerably. And now they count like tens of millions of birds every year globally, which
Yeah.
is just such useful data. And when you're doing it in the same window, in the same areas, you can kind of get these snapshots of population growth and decline. And a lot of that goes into those reports. Audubon puts out the climate change threat reports, what species are in danger. 3 billion birds lost report. A lot of that came from data
Hmm.
from Christmas bird counts. Here locally, we have our own database, which was created by my predecessors. So we can look at our own local trends going up and down, which is really fascinating. I geek out over that just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's cool to see what birds have moved or the populations have grown and what birds are new. So I enjoy that. But that's kind of the purpose of it, is to just accumulate, recruiting community scientists, these volunteers to just get all this data, see what's going on with birds and their populations and movements. So that's kind of the goal.
Yeah, I was reading that most of the circles are in US, obviously, but then they're in Canada, lots in South America. I think they just started one in Peru. And I think for all circles combined across the globe, we got 2,048 species for the count. So
Wow.
that's like almost a quarter or like a fifth of the world's population, or the total number of
Yeah.
birds. So that's really cool that one day, as a global collective, we can see that many birds. And you mentioned the 3 billion birds project. For those people who don't know, there has been an estimated loss since 1970 of 3 billion birds, at least just, believe it's just North America. And we can tell that because we have this count data from every period of the year, like you said, going back many years in some cases to the early 1900s. So we have this long standing data that we can look at and really get some good information. That's not, we're just pulling this out of our butt. We actually have some numbers to back it up. So, but
Mhm.
you mentioned that Ventura count. And so these counts happen in specific areas. Tell everyone how you determine where to send people in Ventura for the count.
Sure. So the circles are all 5 mile radius circles. You can center them wherever you want. I don't know the exact pinpoint for ours, but it encompasses, most of Ventura and a little of the surrounding area. And our circle is broken up into sectors. There's 8 different sectors for different terrains, different habitats. This was done before I came along, but I like it. And we track the data by sector. So I can tell how many white pelicans are seen in sector 7 every year versus sector 2 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Each sector comes with a leader. I have to recruit a leader. So months before the count, I'm harassing people to try and coordinate their own little sectors in our circle. And so they have usually recurring people who come back every year. And I put out the call to everybody. I do presentations, I email customers, I just open it to anybody who wants to participate. They email me, they say they want to volunteer. And I just start spreading them out to the different sectors, whoever needs people, whatever park is left covered, if there's a beach that needs to be checked. Basically, any bird seen within that circle in 24 hours counts. So my goal every year is goals actually to get as many people as possible to participate. I always want 100, 120 people, whatever it is. The next is try and get as much coverage as possible. Even
Mm-hmm.
with 100 people, 5 mile radius is a big thing. And we
Yeah.
have a lot of territory in Ventura that is difficult to get to in the circle. And so we
Mm-hmm.
need special access. We need people who can spend 2 hours driving up into the wilderness to try and find stuff. So it's a lot. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of coordination. And even people who live in the circle can count the birds in their yard. And we get yard birds every year that
That's a
we
good
don't get
point.
out in
Yep.
the field, no matter how many people I put out there. So it's really just anybody can participate. Anybody can do something. You can join a group and just log what people are calling off on a spreadsheet. I try to make it as accessible as possible just because I want everybody to be able to participate out here.
Yeah, and if you don't live in Ventura, you can find there's probably a count near you. Like I mentioned, I'm doing 4 up here. I'll put a link in the show notes of where you can go to find your specific count circle or your closest one, depending on where you live. And then usually they'll have a compiler. So, Ventura County, if you click on that circle, it would be Frank, and they'll have their contact information. So even if you're a beginning birder, you've never done this before, just reach out to the person. They'll happily bring you in. Like Frank said, I don't know if there's ever a count. There maybe some of the popular ones like in the Bay Area or LA. Um,
I can think of one that does not want everybody to participate, but that's
Okay, yeah, yeah. It depends on the count, but
generally.
usually they're always looking for people to help out because, like you mentioned, that it's just a bunch of territory, and even if you don't know much about birds, you're still a pair of eyes and you're still a pair of ears. And I can't tell you how many bird walks I've been where someone has spotted something and pointed it out to me, and we found an amazing bird because of it. So,
Yeah.
really, this is for anybody and everybody who is interested, and then usually you have a little social hour afterwards. That obviously didn't happen with COVID. But most circles will have either a social hour or some sort of virtual thing. I don't know what Ventura, I don't know if you were planning to do anything.
I usually the Ventura Audubon folks will coordinate something and they haven't gotten back to me yet about what's going to happen. So I'm not sure exactly yet, but that's just one reason to panic. And that's why I'll worry about that on the day of. We'll see. Usually there's a potluck or yeah, a virtual gathering or just we get together at a brewery or something. Like that's what we did last year. We went to a brewery. We kind of go through the lists and I call out the name and they say, yes, I saw it or no, I didn't see it. And we kind of get a rough estimate for how many species we've seen. Usually it's way less than we actually end up at. And it's kind of depressing for me when we're like, okay, well, we're like to 150, which would be like terrible count for us. And it's just like, okay, well, we're going to be happy anyway. I know there's a bunch more birds coming in, but yay, 150. So I do try to put on a happy face. I'm not very good at it, but I do try. Just how I
What's
just want
the
everybody to come to the count at the end.
yeah, what's the record off the top of your head? Do you know for Ventura?
For Ventura, um, they actually did get over 200 back in the early 80s, I think. I don't have it pulled up
Wow.
now, but that was a long time back. Normally, like I said, we get around 175. We've tickled the like 190s a couple of times on a really good year. But like all told, we've seen over 330 species on all the Christmas bird counts combined. So
Right.
theoretically, we could have a 300 species day that would shock the birding world. And I would love that. I don't know what sort of things would have to happen for that to take place. But part of
Some
me is
major,
like, well, if
yeah.
there's a cold front coming in and there's the pelagic
Yeah, some
birds get
major
pushed in and
storm.
like,
Yep.
it could someday. It could happen.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, do you want to talk about some of the things we've noticed with the Christmas bird counts since I'm like
Yeah,
in the
yeah, I
data
was
from
just gonna ask
it?
what are kind of
Yeah,
some even locally or nationally some trends
yeah.
that have popped
So,
up.
so locally, it's easy for people to tell anecdotal stories, right? Like, oh, there
Yeah.
used to be so many warblers. There used to be this. And like, I wasn't there. I can't tell you that or not. With the Christmas bird count, I can pull up the database and we can look at the Allen's hummingbird populations in December. And it's like flat all the way up until I want to say the early 90s. And then all of a sudden it jumps up. And now we get Allen's hummingbirds like crazy every winter. And so that's like a
Mm-hmm.
weird thing to look at. Like, where were they before? And why did they just show up? And as it was explained to me, the population that lives out on the Channel Islands came across to the mainland. And so now they spend the winters over here or they're just resident here all the time. And so it's real easy because of our data to see exactly when that happened. And it was very sudden. Like it was just like they weren't there and then they were. Another good one is the yellow crown night herons. They haven't been there
Yes.
forever. 7, 8 years ago, the first couple showed up at the ponds, and I was like, yes, we finally got them. And now they're there every winter. I just saw like a dozen of them the other day. So you can kind of see the range expansion happening as these birds show up in the Ventura count and then farther north in the Santa Barbara count. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's visible, it's obvious, and we have data to prove it. So it kind of backs up some of the anecdotal stories that we hear. Those are positive stories where you get more birds. There are also the negative stories where birds that used to be here in the 80s in big numbers you struggle to get one or two. And a lot of that is waterfowl, like the golden eyes, the ducks,
Mm,
um, redheads, canvasbacks. It's a struggle to get any of those for our counts out here. And a lot of that has to do because you can look at the other data and see where the numbers are. They are farther north. They're wintering farther and farther north.
yeah.
So we're not getting as many down south here. So you might get some really good ducks on those counts if you have any water that you're going to be counting at. So it's things like that. It's really cool. One of the other things that I
Yeah.
love about the Christmas bird counts is that there is, I know people think I'm crazy, but there is like an element of magic to it. Like I have had so many weird experiences on Christmas bird counts. Like I go birding a lot, right? Like I'm out
Hmm.
there, I go birding a lot. So that it's not like the random nature of it. Like everybody's going out that one day and all of a sudden these crazy birds show up. It doesn't make sense if you're birding a couple hundred times a year. So I got my lifer golden crowned kinglet on a Christmas bird count in Ventura. Just like at the ponds, it popped out right next to me, and I was just like, ah, like it was literally 5 feet from me, and I was just like
Right.
stunned. I'd never seen one in the county. One hadn't been in the county for like 10 years for Christmas bird counts. And it was just like, there's a lifer. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. I love doing Christmas bird counts. Was it a couple of years ago? We had the two king eiders show up on the Christmas bird count day.
Yes.
They were just
Yes.
outside the circle, so close to the circle.
Oh my
We've
gosh.
had
But then
county.
they moved into the circle eventually,
They
right?
did after the circle. Yeah, yeah, they
Yeah.
did at some
After the
point. I think
count,
they
then they
knew.
decided to move into the
Yeah,
circle.
and it's just like um Inca dove, county record of Inca dove on Christmas bird count was not there before or after that day. They only saw it on Christmas bird count day. And it's like this happens every year. Some weird thing pops up, like first winter record of this, only seen on the Christmas bird count day. So I always encourage people to go and see and just try it. Like you have no idea. If it's a park you've been to a million times, you don't know. Something weird might happen and often seems to. So that's the last couple of slides of my presentation are about the magic.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. I
Um,
mean, part of obviously we're looking more intensely, but I think there's that sense of camaraderie as well. And then excitement.
mhm.
I remember, yeah, I think Conejo Valley, we had a scissortail flycatcher one count a
Yeah.
couple years ago. You're just like, what? My old advisor from my master's program, she actually said she met her husband on the Christmas bird count. So even beyond the birds, it's just a magical
Yeah,
time of year.
it is. I will say, disclaimer, doing Christmas bird counts in California and Southern California, probably a little more than Northern, but I imagine it's close, is an entirely different animal than doing Christmas bird counts in like the Northeast or the Midwest, right?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
a bad Christmas bird count day for us is like 50 degrees. It's
Yeah.
like, oh no, I have to wear a heavy coat, right? Sometimes you're doing Christmas bird counts and it's like -10, there's 2 feet of snow on the
Uh-huh.
ground, and you see like three birds. Like I've done some on the East Coast, and there's like 12 people doing the count. The compiler's like, yeah, here, you could just take this third of the circle, and whatever you can find is great. And I'm just like, what? Okay. And so the circle ends with like 40 species, and you're frozen and you're miserable, and my car got stuck in the mud. But doing it out here is just like it's not fair. I
Spoiled.
will admit that it's not fair, but everybody should come try it because it's a great day. It's a fun time.
Yeah, I remember I did one when I lived in Utah and I had to have those little hand warmers and we're just crunching around in the snow and my hands were just so cold. I think it was like
Yep.
20 degrees, but like this time last year, not for the bird camp, but just in December, I was in Saxon Bog and we hit negative 15 degrees. They got all sorts of great birds there, but yeah, if you want to do a Christmas
Yeah.
bird count there, you got to be ready to freeze, literally.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. I always like when there is a competitive element to this, right? So you do want to have high turnout and high species just
Right.
because Audubon puts out that list. And, it's usually Texas and California and Florida that have the highest counts. And the reason for that is probably because of the weather, right? It's like not 10 degrees outside. It's not going to be that hard to get people to come out and look at birds. Whereas out there, I imagine the compiling and the coordinating is much easier, but it's only like a dozen people. So it's like, here you go, just take this entire part of the town and you go over there and we'll get together at a bar later and have chili and like cider or something. So
Yeah.
it's a different animal.
A different beast. Maybe that should
Yeah.
be my goal next Christmas. Just find the most remote bird count. Be like, a count that needs the most help. Like, I'm going there, whether it's in the middle of North
Right?
Dakota or whatever.
I wonder what the lowest one is. There's got to be one out there. There's got to be a circle where it's just the compiler coordinator and like one other person, and they just drive around all day and try and find as many birds as they can. It has to be
Probably.
there,
Yeah. Yeah, if you're the compiler in Fargo, North Dakota,
right?
let us
Man,
reach out to us. And we will
that would
send we
be
will send our
interesting.
audience to you, our vast audience to
That would
you.
be it. But we could go. We would just go join that circle and just double their participation and try and help them find
Yeah.
birds.
I mean, that would be totally game. It'd be fun to do a bird count in a different area, like different species, and like, oh, I don't see, you know, these kind of ducks or longspurs or whatever. But
It's it gets harder to find the rare birds. I'm definitely spoiled here, like Ventura, Santa Barbara, LA. It's pretty easy to find wintering neotropical birds, right? Like orioles,
hmm
tanagers, we get them every year.
yep.
Blue-winged warbler, whatever warblers are around.
It's almost as if we don't get an Oriole or Tanager, like because I remember I was doing the Barranca one year in Ventura, and I was like, I found like one Oriole and one Tanager, and I'm like, there should be more here. I think
Yeah,
someone found another one the other day, but it's like you should at least get two Tanager species and two Oriole species.
I will admit to being a little disappointed sometimes when people come back like, "Oh, we didn't find anything at the Barrancas. We didn't get any orioles." And I'm like, "No." And I'm like texting other people like, "You got to go back to can you please go find the orioles." I get a little into it for sure. So that's fun.
Yes, I mean it's hard not to. I mean, and we are bird nerds, so this is our this is our Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I really enjoy it. Like it's the highlight of my year sometimes getting to do these Christmas bird counts, like in terms of birding things to do. The other circle that I participate in, I basically go into a huge grassy field and well, it's like dead grass, so it's all brown dried grass. And I just count sparrows for 5 or 6 hours. Like,
Yeah,
and
you
nobody
have a
thinks that that sounds
specific
like a good
target.
idea.
I know where
Yeah,
you go, and
yeah.
I know what you need to
I
find.
have to get
Yeah,
that. I
like,
have to get that grasshopper sparrow, and
mm-hmm.
I didn't get it last year, and I was really upset for a while. But I could not have tried harder. Like short of setting the place on fire to flush everything out, I could not have done more. And no, that's I would never do that because California wildfire is not a joke. But you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
wildfire started by bird looking for a bird.
right. No, I would take one of those pictures of the hawks that dropped like the burning branches to spread
Yeah, that like the
wildfires to
kites
flush
in
prey,
Australia.
and
Yeah,
they'd be like, "It was that bird. This
yeah,
this
yeah,
happened."
yeah, yeah. No one outside the birding community would know. You're like, oh wow. Oh right. Well, Frank, if people want to join Ventura, what day is the Ventura Christmas bird count?
The Ventura Christmas bird count is coming up December 20th. It's a Saturday. And if anybody out there would like to participate, you can email me at venturabirdcount@gmail.com. I'm also going to be doing a presentation on Tuesday night for Ventura Audubon at the Poinsettia Pavilion. There's a Zoom link. You can go to the Ventura Audubon website and tune in for that. And I think I guess on my Patreon page, I will also post a winter beginning bird ID class that kind of will help you separate some of the common species, and that'll be up there for free. I do it every winter just in case somebody wants to brush up on white crown versus white throated or hairy and downy woodpecker, something like that. So that will be there.
All right, all right. Well, yeah, you heard the man. Sign up for Ventura or your local account. I will be on the boat, right? I believe that's where you're putting me for
As long as we
Ventura.
have good weather, counting on
Yes,
you.
yes, yes. I have been practicing my Jaegers, um, so I'm ready. All right, everybody. Well, that's yeah a shorter one today, and we'll probably won't be back until the new year. So hope you enjoy your time with your loved ones and
Oh,
enjoy your Christmas bird count if you do so. And we will see you guys in the new year. Take care, everybody.
Yeah. Happy holidays. See some good Christmas birds.
Mm-hmm.